Renault looking good for P1. King Bart with a healthy 6/10 advantage over everybody else in the field.
This could be the lap here from Ice Kid Man. Does he have ice in those veins?
Ice Kid Man over the line for a 107.3 pole!
And he picks pole by 7 thousandths of a second.
And we're away. Ice Kid Man gets off the line. King Bart is in second place. Mahoney is third. Seakeg fourth. We've got Dave K around at the back of the field. I am really enjoying this. This is a great race.
Fantastic, isn't it? It's fantastic.
As indeed, that's a Red Bull in the wall. We've got a full safety car. That is what we wanted, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be a 5-lap shootout to the line. And off we go. Ice Kid Man leads and contact as well. Hercules into the wall. All happening on the last lap of this race. After the penalty is applied, King Bart wins this one in the Renault and second place for Ice Kid Man. What a race. Good evening, FRS. Welcome along to round 2 from FR Series Division 5. We are here, virtually of course, in Spain for the second race of the Division 5 season. And if we have anything like the race we had in round 1, as we saw there in the little recap video, we are in for another treat. McNaughton is back for another co-cast. How are you?
Oh, I am definitely looking forward to round 2 here. We had the fight for pole position from Ice Kid Man and King Bart, which then transformed itself onto the racetrack as well. We had Mahoney dragging himself through into top positions as well. So it's definitely going to be an interesting race this round. Definitely looking forward to it and can't wait to get started.
We will have a quick run over the runners and riders for you again this evening and talk about the track and have a quick look at the Drivers' Championship. We're going to get it all covered before the qualifying session begins in probably between 5 and 10 minutes time. There's one change on the grid. There's a new driver in at Red Bull, as you can see there. Not number 13, because I have not had time to update that graphic, because number 88 is Obsidian, who was the round 1 winner in Brazil in Division 7. So he has been promoted up into Division 5, takes the place of that German one, and we have an all-American Red Bull lineup now, and I've got my graphic to write down as well. Trolls. The trolls are singing again. Eldor, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime. Very much appreciate it. Welcome along.
Good to see more F1.
Thank you indeed for reading that out, random man in my ears. So, that's the first half. Of course, King Bart, championship leader, as we'll see in a moment. And Dennis the Great didn't make the race last time. I'm not sure if he's going to be here either. He did have wheel issues ahead of the first race, so hopefully they're fixed. The Great will be able to make his debut in this Division 5. But the Drivers' Championship looks like this. King Bart with 26 points, the maximum haul from Brazil, with the win and fastest lap. He finished slightly behind Ice Kid Man on track, but of course Ice Kid Man had that time penalty that he picked up on like the first lap of the race. Tory, Mahoney, Jock James and Humbersep. These of course after there was a penalty applied post-race in the stewards room to Roy Weller and the bottom of the championship. None of these drivers have any points yet, but I think McNaughton, Hercules probably the most unfortunate to not score a point out of all of those on that.
Definitely. After the qualifying accident as well, that basically meant that Hercules, I can't remember if he didn't get a qualifying time in or it was a very slow qualifying time. It might have just been an outlap one or such, but fought all the way up to, I think they were in 3rd and 4th place, fighting with their own teammate Tory and Mahoney going into the last few laps, and unfortunately not able to stay on the track and finish. So I think Hercules is definitely going to be a driver out here looking to make a statement and really, cement some points back on that table and show us what they've got.
Yeah, so I guess the question for the evening is this going to be another straight fight between the top two, King Bart and Ice Kid Man? Because while I wouldn't go as far to say they were the class of the field in Brazil, they certainly had a little bit in hand over everybody else over the course of that race.
True. Spain as well, definitely getting a very important qualification time in. There's not a lot of room to overtake on these corners. and especially when you've got like Seat and Renault, those fast corners where you've really got to stay on point. It will be interesting to see if King Bart and Ice Kid Man can put out those fast qualifying times again, or we'll see people like Torre or Hartley's getting back up there and fighting amongst the starting grid.
Indeed. So a new feature that we promised for like the pre-race every week of the season is Nugget's naughty list, and here it is after round 1. So while this might, I hope this doesn't come across as us like pointing and laughing as McNaughton laughs away. In the what we want to do, firstly, I think it's interesting to have a look and see which drivers are picking up the most time penalties across the course of the race. Now, this isn't fully accurate because, foolishly, I made this graphic prior to the steward's room on Friday, and I believe Jock James got his 5-second penalty removed.
Yes, I believe he did bribe the officials for that one.
What there was a bunch of drivers on 8 seconds worth of penalties who had 2 total penalties. So I split the ties by just who finished higher in the race. So Jock James shouldn't really be on this list. But Evil Steel, you can see, with 5 penalties and 19 seconds lost. So what we'd hope to do, we'll keep adding to these over the course of the season. And even though it'll be horrible to see your own name on here, the theory is that it will be at the very least useful for people to be able to see that they need to cut out the penalties and cut out the mistakes if they want to save some time.
Or, just keep getting penalties and you'll be my favourite driver by far. There is that option as well. But, I mean, I remember Evil Steel's race in Brazil, and I really felt for Evil Steel because it just kept feeling, as soon as I started getting a few laps, if anything, it was more crashes out, spinning off the track that cost him a lot of time than so much track, like skipping corners.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of incidents behind the safety car as well for Evil Steel. So that's something to just keep an eye on. It's easily done. You get, especially a virtual safety car, you get a pop-up that says, hey, virtual safety car. It's not the most obvious thing in the world to look at.
No.
The only thing to look at before we go into qualifying, the drivers are just going to the installation lap practice session now, is the circuit. So round 2, Barcelona. Another very technical track, and one where it is, as I can attest to from my own race that finished, probably 40 minutes ago, very difficult to keep up a quick pace without making a mistake and getting those time limits penalties. It is stressful.
Definitely. I must say that it's a bit ironic coming from the one driver that finished without a penalty saying that to you, but it is very easy to pick up penalties. I feel, especially when it's coming into Campsa, if you cut that fast right-hander just even a little bit, you can get caught out so easy there. So I would say Campsa being a corner, you've really got to watch to make sure that you don't get caught out, giving away any needless time penalties on.
Yeah, in terms of corners that have been problematic for drivers that we've seen, because this is, of course, the last race of the weekend again, prime time Sunday slot. And what we've seen in the other races is drivers losing the first chicane at Elf, the second corner there, the curb on the inside can very much loosen the car up, which can be less than ideal. But the prime spot for people losing the back end and sticking it in the wall has absolutely been turn 7, otherwise known as Wirth, the left-hander in the second sector, the red line, as you see it.
Definitely worth one. It's one of these corners where you do have to go quite far to the right-hand side to give yourself that ideal angle in, but it's heavy curbs either side, so there is that big risk of the wheels spinning and as you said, the back end going on that.
So, without further ado, we're still in the practice session, but we might as well just throw it over to have a quick look. Some of the cars going around the track, we seem to have fairly overcast conditions. But what you'll see here is just the cars taking a quick lap around the track. Is just to make sure that steering wheels are all working as they should, and that we've got good connection to the servers. But by the looks of things, it does appear to be Dennis the Great missing again. But other than that, it's a 19-car grid. And barring Obsidian coming in for that German one, it's the same bunch of names as last time. And as we said earlier on, if we get anything like the race that we had in Brazil, it was a treat.
I'm not sure my heart could take another race like Brazil. I don't know about you.
Yeah, well, as I said at the time, it was our first ever cast of a Formula 1 2020 game. And it was a real baptism of fire. I use that phrase a lot, but I was trying to keep an eye on everything that was going on. It was carnage.
It was, but extreme fun. So hopefully it does continue today as well.
So Hummersep just continuing round onto the straight. We've got a couple of cars rather than coming to the pits, just taking a run onto the straight, make sure DRS is working and all that sort of thing, and then they will retire from the session by just popping into the pause menu. You might be able to see there that the Mercedes has pulled over just before turn 1. So we're just waiting for a reef to finish up, and then we'll be straight on with the 18-minute qualifying session, which will determine the grid, followed by the half-distance 50% race, which will be 33 laps of this circuit to Catalonia.
Now, having gone through this race yourself as well, Harringzord, what are we feeling is going to be the optimal tyre strategy?
Well, the first thing to say is that I'm really not the person to talk to you about qualifying strategy, because Division 6 seems to be Division wet qualifying. We've had 2 races, and we have had 2 soaking wet qualifying sessions in Division 6. So, but generally speaking, track position is kind of key around this circuit. It's very difficult to overtake. You've only really got the start-finish straight to make a move, unless the car ahead makes a mistake. And of course, because we're not dealing with professional Formula 1 drivers here, we are far more likely to see mistakes around different parts of the circuit. Other than that, I think we can expect to see most people go to the soft tyre. The only other thing you might consider is running the medium tyre and trying to see how far up the grid you can get on that. But if you're not in the top 10, is it really worth it? Because, of course, the top 10 have to use the same tyres that they qualified on at the start of the race. So they will be looking to go soft to the hard tyre. The hard tyre, as much as this track is quite bad on tyre wear, the hard tyre is pretty robust. It's the hardest possible compound to C1, which means you can kind of just run it forever. So we shall see whether there are any varying strategies here, but you want to get yourself into that top 10 and right up towards the front, if you possibly can. What do we want?
Well, we'll wait and see who is going to go out first and what they're going to do setting pace and tyre-wise.
Indeed, yes. So, I mean, we saw in the last session, as you might have seen if you were here for the little recap video at the start, King Bart was very much the man to beat in qualifying, but then he was beaten by Ice Kid Man right at the death by 0.07 of a second.
Yeah, it was right into the last qualifying as well there from Ice Kid Man. It was last gasp qualifying there, and as you said as well, it was that very early time penalty that Ice Kid Man picked up and just wasn't able to shake, get the time distance, or King Bart doing a fantastic drive to stay within the 3-second time limit and not pick up any themselves. So it was extremely close first second.
So King Bart and Ice Kid Man are, because they were the first 2 in the first race, we're sort of looking to those 2 to set the pace in this one. Obsidian, as the newcomer, is very much the wild card. He won Division 7 at a canter, really. I think it was about a 45-second gap he had over P2 in that one. But of course, when you're that far ahead, you don't really need to push as hard as you might, and it was very much a case for him of just not picking up a penalty. We're looking at Dave K at the moment, who had a tricky race in Brazil, and hopefully have a stronger one this time out. In fact, both Alfa Romeos had a difficult time in the first round.
Yep, and it looks like it is going to be one of the Alfa. Is it going to be one of the Alfa Romeos going to be setting the lap time first? I think it's coming over the finish line there, the start finish.
It is indeed. So Dave K, the first one to set a lap time, coming down towards the first corner here. And on the soft tyres, we can have a look. And there's a few drivers on the mediums: Hummersep, Arif, T-Keg, Mahoney and Obsidian, all on the medium tyres. So clearly Mercedes with the idea to go to the medium tyres here.
Definitely. And Dave Kay looking very smooth through these first few opening corners. Just coming around to see it. Coming up to Worth, as we were speaking about. This can be the tricky spot. We'll see how they do going through.
Don't really need to worry about yellow flags a lot in the session because it often just means that a car's slowing down to get out of the way. The game can be a bit trigger happy on the yellow flag front at that point. But go on.
We are going to have to hope Dave Kay also on a fast lap here, but he does have a lot of back markers in front of him, so we do hope that he does get a clean lap in here.
Indeed, just coming around this long right hand and out Bank Sabadell. And then the bit of the circuit that everybody hates. We do have cars in the way here. And Dave Kay's lap being compromised right at the end. I don't know if we would have lost too much time with the Mercedes in front doing the chicane. But the benchmark time from Dave Kay in the Alfa Romeo is a 1:20.1. The lap will be beaten almost certainly, but there was a bit of an issue towards the end of the lap. And a 1:16.2 from Tory is much more like it.
King Bart just coming past your rope car now. Looking to really see if King Bart can set that pace early again here.
Indeed, a 1:17.3 from Van On Base in the Ferrari, and Obsidian doing an 18.5 on the mediums, set a compromised time. King Bart with a 1:16.7.
160, but there was some shaking there of the car as he was coming round.
Yeah, Ice Kid Man now coming out of the final sector, and we'll see what Ice Kid Man can do. Pole sitter last time out in the Soul, Williams in the field, and this time it's a 1:16.5. Mahoney now with the Mercedes coming through the very, very awkward last chicane. Roy Weller's gone P3 on a 1:16.6. Quite a few drivers have not really hit their peak yet, just getting in a safe lap, and Mahoney's one of them with a 17.7 on the mediums. I think if you're on the mediums, you are realistically, for that to be a viable strategy, you probably want to get down into a high 16. Otherwise, you're not really saving any time. We've got Canardi now just coming out of the final corner in the McLaren. A difficult race last time. Picked up a fairly hefty penalty as well for some stewards infringements and goes P6. So McLaren's with the best average position, you would say, at this early stage in the session.
Yep, just a few cars still to set time, and Anna in the Aston Martin, the Alfa Taurus. Yes, in Alfa Romeo, still to set a time. Cana on their out lap, and Hercules still to set a time as well. So we'll see a few of them just hopefully getting out soon, seeing what they can do.
We've got wing damage on Iana's Alfa Romeo, so presumably there's been an issue there on the quick lap. That is not looking in tip-top condition.
Oh, definitely not. Missing some front left there.
So, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll have a ride around the circuit with TK in the Ferrari. Into turn 1. Don't take too much curb on the inside and run it out as wide as you can. And now the long, flat-out corner of turn 3, bringing you all the way around to the end of the first sector. It's as late as you can on the brakes at turn 4. Another long right-hander. 21.2 there for TK. And we're going to get on the throttle and down towards the second gear left. Yeah, keeping to the inside. Again, on the power as quickly as we can and running out wide onto the curb. Now, this is the tricky corner. This is Verth. Don't take too much curb on the inside. Make sure the back end doesn't step out, and then it's up the hill. If you can, flat out here through Campsat. Slight lift from the Ferrari and slightly wide of the apex. DRS wide open down the back straight. And hit the brakes at the 100-metre board into probably the slowest corner on the circuit here. Flat out through there, and then a little drop down at the third gear through the arduously long right of Bank Sabadell. Down a couple of gears again, and this bit is just awkward. It feels that there's about 9 or 10 different ways to ruin your lap in that final chicane, but that was pretty smooth from TK out of the final corner and across the line for a 1:15.9 and provisional pole.
Very, very smooth, very, very fast lap there from TK, touching all the right corners and really showing us a lot of pace here. They did pick up a time penalty in Brazil that would have knocked them down a few positions, but they were right up there into the 4th, 5th positions deep into Brazil, so good to see that they do still have the speed here in Spain.
So we're showing Mahoney as having retired from the session. I don't know if that's a crash or whether that's just a disconnect to try and reconnect with an issue there. Carter has aborted another lap. We've got Harkey's. Jock James, I think, is on a quick one at the moment, so no, that's invalidated, that lap from Jock James. as you can see, because of the red track map. So Hercules on an out lap. We've got Van on base in the Ferrari, just beginning his quick lap now. So we can follow the second Ferrari with TK on provisional pole with about 3/10 in hand at this stage. See if we can't switch this to differences. There we go. That's what we want to see. And a flag in sector 3. It's just cars backing up. I don't think we've got any incidents there. Both of the racing points coming round to have another go. But the usual suspects, the podium finishers from the first race, all in the top 5 of the stands. King Bart, Ice Kid Man and Tory. Slight moment there for Van on base.
Yep, just cut that corner a wee bit there, as we were saying, come through into Campsa, which has invalidated this lap. Fortunate for them there.
What we'll do, we'll have a look at Obsidian, the newcomer to Division 5, and we'll see how Obsidian copes on the step up from Division 7. Presumably, we'll not have quite the advantage that we had in that division, but we have improved our time by 1.3 seconds in the second sector. So this is looking a bit... It's certainly not in range to challenge right at the front, unless there was a big issue in his final sector as well for Obsidian. But we'll see what the Red Bull can do. Red Bull with no points from Division 5, but they are in the lead of the Teams Championship overall, so we'll see if Obsidian can add to that tally here. Out of the final corner and across the line for a 1:15.7 provisional pole.
That was an extremely fast lap there, considering that they didn't look like they were that far ahead or that catching that quickly, but Obsidian really showing a lot of speed here in that division jump.
Mahoney's in chat. Was it an issue? Did you bin the car? What was it? Not really sure what the issue was there. Hercules across the line to go P10. And Tory on provisional pole now with a 15.5 in the racing points. Great lap time, and these times are starting to tumble now.
I must say, definitely looking forward to seeing what Roy Weller can do this race. Coming from Brazil, Roy Weller spent an awful lot of that race stuck behind both racing points. Never really seemed to be able to get past either of them. But, you know, nice position 5 at the moment on qualification. Hopefully we're able to see what Mr. Weller can do pace-wise here at Spain.
Here comes Daft across the line in the Haas, and that improves up to P8, much better. 1.6 seconds off the ultimate pace. The Red Bulls looking much stronger here than they were in Brazil, which is a good thing. Dave K on another lap. 3/10 up on his previous best and just coming out of the final chicane now. Currently 4.5 seconds down, so had a difficult first lap, as we saw. And across the line now for a slight improvement. A 1:19.9, so Dave K still a little bit behind off the pace, but we've got one more chance, maybe 2 more chances to get that time improved. Guess the man to look at now is probably King Bart, who's on a hot lap, has run wide off the circuit, so that lap's aborted. And Ice Kid Man. In fact, King Bart improved to P4, I missed that one. And King Bart on the medium tyre as well, so that's an interesting one strategically. It might be 8/10 off pole, but if you're sitting P4 on the medium tyres, strategically that could be very, very strong indeed.
Definitely, especially showing T-Keg's pace as well to be 0.4 faster than King Bart on medium tyres as well.
Speaking of T-Keg, he's made a mistake on the medium tyres in the first sector, so that lap is done for T-Keg. It won't improve this time around. Ferrari facing the wrong way, which is not really what you want a Ferrari to be doing.
Indeed not.
So here's Karna looking to set the first legal time lap of the session. This one looking like it's clean as anything. In the Renault, it's not quick. We're already at 1:18 coming out of the last corner, so Karna slotting in P17 just ahead of Dave K. But struggling for pace at this point in the session. So it's Tory, Obsidian and TK, the top 3 with about 6 minutes to go in the session, and we can have a look now at Ice Kid Man in the Williams. Pole sitter last time out, and looking to see if we can make up the around a second that we need to take provisional pole again in that Williams. He's improved by 2/10 already in the first sector. That is purple, that first sector for Ice Kid Man. We're now on the soft tyres through Verth. Don't want to lose the back end here. Slightly wide. We were quite wide there into the left-hander, so we'd have lost a little bit of time there. And now sweeping through the fast right-hand at the top of the hill. DRS wide open down the back straight. And we will see just how much time. We've still up 4/10. It's actually still a purple middle sector for Ice Kid Man. So this is looking very, very good to take provisional pole as it stands in the Soul Williams in the field. Don't want to lose too much time now in the tricky last few corners. Into the chicane. Oh, and we've made a mistake and cut the chicane. The lap behind was invalidated. And all of that good work goes to waste.
We have T-Keg coming just through Lukaxa here, just 0.1 time up on their fastest lap, but are also trying to put in another quick lap here, maybe try and steal first or second place. Does have some cars in the way, but doing well to get out of that main line, and they are just going to put it in at the pits, in fact.
Yeah, so a lot of the drivers struggling to find improvements at the moment. Tory is out on the medium tyre currently, but the fastest time was set on the soft tyre. It was Roy Weller out of the final corner, currently P6 in that McLaren. We'll see if Roy Weller can improve, and that is a 1:16.5. So pops up ahead of Ice Kid Man into P5, but still almost second off the ultimate pace. We've got a much bigger spread of times in Spain than we saw in Brazil. There was less than a second covering about 15 cars in Brazil, but it's a much wider spread at this point. Canodi in the other McLaren goes P7, and we've now got Hummersep about to begin a hot lap. So Mahoney out of this session, spun and lost it through turn 9 on a hot lap. So won't be able to improve, and that's a tricky qualifying session for one of the Mercs. So it's all on Hummersep to save the day for the team in black.
Just on board with Hercules at the moment, 0.4 seconds ahead of their time, coming through into a rock car, seeing if they can transfer their speed through the last sector into a better qualifying position.
Yeah, so 4/10 is looking at going up into around P9 if we keep up that rate of improvement. Comes out of the final corner now, this Hercules, and it is indeed P9. Nice to be right.
Hummersep also 0.48 seconds up.
Yeah, Tory in the gravel trap, just keeping out the way. Not the ideal way, but you have to say Division 5 have been very, very respectful in qualifying in terms of keeping out of the way of other drivers.
See if that continues into the race, though.
Yeah, when the gloves come off in the race, I'm sure it'll be a little bit less. Karna has retired from the session as well, by the way, in the second Renault, so presumably a session-ending incident for him. Hummersep coming out of the final chicane and looking to improve on P16. DRS open and across the line. Well, it's an improvement, but it's not much of an improvement. P15.
Yep, I don't know what it is with the Mercedes here in Spain. You know, Mahoney and Hummersep were very high up the qualification boards in Brazil, so whether they are just, obviously Mahoney out at the moment, not able to put lap times down, but maybe struggling just to find the same level of pace around this. We class this a different type of circuit than Brazil. You know, should we expecting cars to be performing better, drivers perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's got their favourite circuits and their least favourite circuits. This one, a lot of long corners that really do eat up the tyres. But there's a need to be quite accurate as well. TK on the way for a fast lap. We've got about a minute and a half. Everyone's got time for one more lap, and Canodi now retiring from the session in the second McLaren, so can't improve on P7 there. TK now coming through turn 3, and we'll see what the first split time is like. Oh, he's up on his previous best. It's purple for the Ferrari.
Needs about 0.3 to steal second. Also 4.22 to steal first. So we'll see how TK does coming into Worth here, and then going up into a campsite. Big shout out to O'Hay. Thank you very much for raiding with a party of 32. Hope everybody enjoyed that Division 3 race, I believe it was.
Yes,
O'Hay.
welcome along. If you're here from Division 3, you're at the business end of qualifying now, and it's Tory leading the way on the 1:15.5. We've got a much bigger spread of times, but T-Keg has gone purple in the middle sector as well. Come down into the last chicane. Clean on the second part as well, using all of the curve that you're allowed out of the final corner, and use any ERS you've got left across the line, and a 1:15.6. Not good enough, but good enough for the front row as it stands. We will now see what Obsidian can do. Just starting their lap now, and I think we've also got Tori on the track as well on an out lap. Tori's not going to make it round the line in time. Tori is not going to get a chance to improve. We'll stick with Obsidian, who is down by what looked like 0.02 of a second there. Also worth checking in, actually, Ice Kid Man's going to get to the line first, but he's 10 seconds down. That lap looking like it's aborted. King Bart also starting their quick lap, if I'm not mistaken.
King Bart out and 2/10 up on their first sector.
10th up, it wasn't purple for King Bart. Obsidian now, slightly down in Sector 2. We've lost a couple of tenths somewhere. Back end stepping out as we come out of the slow right hander. We've got a couple of Alfa Romeos having a bit of a ding-dong. I hope they spot the Red Bull that's coming, because the session is over for those guys. Obsidian now into the final chicane. The Alfa keeping well out of the way as Obsidian drifts through and drifts into the pit lane. Well, we didn't mean that. So, with all said and done, it is all on King Bart, who has gone purple in the middle sector. Right on board. We hope the McLaren keeps out of the way, because King Bart has the chance to steal pole in the way he had stolen from him.
Roy Weller, McLaren in front, is on a fast lap as well, so we'll see what time they can put out just in front. I don't think it's going to be top board, but it might be quicker.
King Bart
is not to get fifth.
And Roy Weller goes P5, so I think that wraps it up. There's nobody else able to set a time. Tori takes pole in Spain.
Definitely. Good to see the rest of the track fighting back here in Spain. Not letting Ice Kid Man and King Bart have it all their own way here. Showing, T-Keg, Tori, Obsidian coming in, showing very good pace for the jump up as well. Roy Weller, like to see Roy Weller doing well here. I did think they had pace back in Brazil. They were just unlucky to be stuck behind Hercules and Tori for a lot of that race. It'll be interesting. I think definitely going to be one to watch for me is Roy Weller this race.
Yeah, shout out for Obsidian as well, who apparently didn't have a lot of time to had a lot of practice in ahead of this one, but has managed to qualify inside the top 3 on Division 5 debut. But here is
top 5 on soft tyres as well, with just King Bart's mediums sitting there.
Indeed, so Tori from T-Keg, Obsidian, Ice Kid Man, Roy Weller and King Bart, your top 6. Nordy in the McLaren. I must stop saying Canordi.
No, Canordi's the name. I've already had this established. It's Canordi, okay?
Evil Steel with a much better showing, and a shout out to Evil Steel in that Red Bull as well. Both Red Bulls much better than they were in Brazil. Homerset managed to take P9 in the end, and Cookie rounding out the top 10 in the Alpha Tauri. Difficult session for Hercules in the second racing point, but he's on the medium tyres. So King Bart on the mediums, playing the strategic game here, not with the outright pace, but has managed to put it inside the top 6 on what may well be the better race tyre. Predictions, Nugget.
Tori was very fast in Brazil coming from back. I think it's going to be Tori got to finish top 3. I think got to show that pace. I still think Roy Weller top 3 finish as well. I think Roy Weller's got pace that we didn't see first time round, and Evil Steel, clean laps. I think there's pace there as well for the Red Bulls. What about yourself, Harringzord?
With 19 cars in the race, the chance of virtual safety car is pretty high, you would say. If it's easy for cars to lose it, and we are going to have a formation lap before this one begins, which we didn't have last time, I don't believe. So a chance for us to just get our breath before this one starts. The Tori leads the field away from T-Keg in the Ferrari, and Obsidian in third. So yeah, it could be about, does the virtual safety car come out at a time that suits your tyre strategy, or are you end up sort of slightly screwed by the safety car? We've got King Bart, Cookie, Hercules, Daft, Man on Base, Jock James, Mahoney, Arif, Kana and Dave K on the medium tyres, everybody else on the soft. That's about a 50-50 split in the field, and it looks like Evil Steel has taken a grid penalty to start P13 in this one.
Yeah, it does appear so. Not sure what has caused that. Maybe interesting to see. Sadly, after speaking about hopefully Evil Steel getting some clean laps and avoiding penalties, it'll be interesting to see what happened there. A lot of pressure on T-Keg as well. I think T-Keg, lost a position or two in Brazil. So really out to make a statement here. Setting a very fast qualifying time. Second place, looking very strong position for the Ferrari cars as well. And we've seen, the Ferraris doing pretty good this weekend. Ferrari won 3 in Division 6 just previous.
You didn't have to remind me.
Why, who finished second in that race?
Nobody.
Well, I think it's going to be down to, I think the first corner here is going to be so important. Make sure your tyres are warm, not clipping the inside of the chicane on that curb. So I think if you're sitting here as Tory, you're sitting here as T-Keg, very important to get a quick start away and just get through that opening chicane and get some heat in those tyres.
This is where it's nervy. This is where the hands are maybe shaking a little bit. The leg might be shaking a little bit. But keep control of those nerves as we get ready to go. Cars at the back of the field just beginning to line up now. I hope this isn't the camera angle it's going to give us for the start of the race, if we can possibly help it. And I've got the full track map on. Apparently it is.
F6 if you want to change a bit of the camera angles.
There we go. It's lights out and away we go in Spain. It looks like a pretty decent start from the Ferrari of T-Keg, but Tory leads them away. And look at the Williams of Ice Kid Man coming through in P4. It's going to be a dive into the first corner from the Williams, and Ice Kid Man looks to take the lead as we go to turn 1. Contact! And around goes Ice Kid Man, and off goes T-Keg, and there's contact at the back as well. Tory leads as we come out of turn 3, and a virtual safety car deployed. 3 or 4 cars, both Mercedes involved in that, at the back of the field. Nightmare start for the Mercedes team, and we've got T-Keg from P2 to P16. Virtual safety car. I don't know how much damage we've got, but it is Tory in the lead. Now you've got to be careful not to hit the back of the car in front. I hope everybody spotted that. I didn't see any penalties flash up, so hopefully everybody's clean there.
None for me. T-Keg coming through that with no damage apart from that huge position drop. It did look like there was some contact between Ice Kid Man and I believe it was T-Keg there, which then caused a bit of a backlog. Hummersep and Mahoney, huge contacts, but Ice Kid Man getting a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car.
Another penalty for Ice Kid Man. So it's King Bart who's looking like the driver with the big advantage here, and a slow getaway from Obsidian has the medium shod Renault right on his tail. So King Bart already looking good up to P3, and presumably, or in theory, on the better race time. We've got Karner off at the back as we come down the main straight for the first time in racing conditions.
We've also got big gains here from Jock James, up 11 places into 4th. Arif up 10 into 7. So huge gains there for Jock James.
I think we've got a slight issue with the timing screen because of the virtual safety car. So Jock James not quite as far up as previously advertised, but we've got an Alfa Romeo of Iana in the pits and Karner in the pit lane as well. But Tory leads this one, and the real shame is Ice Kid Man, who has dropped down to 4th position off the line and also has that penalty to serve as well. It is a drive-through penalty, is it not?
I believe it was indeed a drive-through penalty for Ice Kid Man.
Real nightmare for Mercedes as well, with both Hummersep and Mahoney right at the back of the pack after making contact on the first lap. We can take a look at the big winners off the line, and Evil Steel up 6 places. Jock James, as you said, Nugget, up 6 as well to be in the points. Roy Weller a big loser off the line, as is Norrie. Both McLarens down 3 places off the line, as we can check in with the race leader Tory. Or in fact the race leader Karner, according to the time screen.
I think that will change just as soon as Karner catches up with the rest. There we go, that looks to be correct now. Yep, Obsidian making a jump there. Hercules up 5. Evil Steel, I believe, if this is going to be correct, up 7 places.
Ice Kid Man close to the back of King Bart. King Bart just having to manage his pace on those medium tyres. He's looking to go longer into this race. So the more cars that he can keep behind on the soft tyre, the better. And Hercules Another big winner off the line, up to P5 in the second Racing Point. So Racing Point looking very, very strong here, as we see Jock James going wheel to wheel with Roy Weller and making up another spot. The AlphaTauri going through and just holding the inside line.
Oh, and we have a crash here. Evil Steel, I believe, is off.
Jock James off as well. We've got 2 cars off, so Evil Steel and Jock James. I don't know whether that crash was in sympathy from Jock James, but both cars now in the wall, and almost calamitous scenes as they both try to recover to the circuit. But that'll be front wing damage for them both, and a car, McLaren off as well. We've got Nordy now, very, very wide. So those that can keep the nose on a Ferrari of Van on base going into the wall. Just about avoiding the wall in the gravel, so it's all happening here. We talked about mistakes, and Ice Kid Man now serving that drive-through penalty in the Williams. We see Obsidian within DRS range of the race leader, Tory.
It's all happening again. I don't know if if this is the Harringzord curse. Whenever we seem to look at anybody, they're going into a wall. Tory's going to be screaming, "Look away, look away."
It's carnage. But the thing is, these drivers are good. It's the consistency that seems to be the issue as to why they're Division 5 as opposed to Division 2 or maybe Division 3. Lots of mistakes in these early laps, and this is when the tyres are at their best as well.
Yep, we've got T-Keg coming round Repsol and a bit of a sandwich here, trying to gain a position up on Canurdi. T-Keg did, of course, qualify second place, got a contact, we believe, going into Elf and knocked him all the way down. I believe it was low 16, fighting back through these cars, trying to get back into the top positions.
Shout out to Cookie, who had a very difficult race in Brazil, but is running very, very strongly in P6 in the early stages of this one. But I hate saying that, because I've probably cursed the hell out of him now.
Indeed. Look away now, look away. But we've got Hercules gaining more positions, up into 4th now. So we do have a current top 4 containing, if I could get my words out here, containing both Racing Points again.
You see, Tory went right to the inside out of the last corner there. And we've got a Mercedes off. I think that's Mahoney off the circuit. Just recovering ahead of Hummersep now. But look at this. If we go down the main straight, there's a huge gaggle of cars. Dave Kay running it at a very respectable 8th, but possibly not having the pace to stay there. And possibly the double overtake coming now as TK goes round the outside into turn 1. End plate damage on that Ferrari you can see on the front right. An Ice Kid Man who served a drive-through penalty coming through and back up into P9, but with another penalty showing.
Ice Kid Man picked up a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. So whether that does look to be some corner cutting that they've just not been able to get out with their system, it's very easy to do. T-Keg possibly looking to take advantage just when we go through Worth and round into Campside, maybe take advantage of that straight to gain a few more places here.
Ice Kid Man, there is speed in that Williams, but there is a lack of consistency and there is a complete disregard for the rules. DRS pass coming, as I think the McLaren was slow out of there, so Ice Kid Man going around the outside. And to be fair, if he's going to get time penalties, we've got to make up that time. And I think the McLaren had a bit of an issue. Yeah, the McLaren's round. Canardi is facing the wrong way and in the wall and having to back that car up. A lot of drivers really, really struggling, and that will be a potential front wing change. Yeah, you see the end plate's gone on that front side. So the front 3, Hercules having a very, very comfortable race in P4 with nobody within 3.5 seconds either side.
We've got Van on base just sneaking into 10th place, slotting in behind his teammate here, going through Elf. See what pace these Ferraris have. T-Keg also, we know, has the pace from qualifying, but need to get that pace back here on the racetrack to try and get those lost positions back.
So, still Tory in the lead of this one. You are watching FRS Division 5 with Harringzord and McNugget. It still says round 1 into Lagos, but it's not round 1 into Lagos, it's round 2 Spain. As I said last time, it's like Ben Edwards and David Coulthard, but it's very much not. We're only 6 laps into this one, and dear me, a lot has happened.
That's what I say, the only way it would be David Coulthard is if we were watching a different sport that he didn't know anything about.
Tory leads, and King Bart now in DRS range of Obsidian. The soft tyre drivers probably starting to struggle now. Those soft tyres will be screaming out, and King Bart with the DRS wide open going to the outside as Obsidian defends the inside and going all the way around the outside. And King Bart takes P2.
Ooh.
It was close. Obsidian's holding on the inside, but I think the Renault is just looking better on the tyres at this point. And King Bart moves up into second place, the championship leader, of course, after that win in Brazil.
Some very tough, close, but fair racing it looked like there, which is what we like to see.
It was a good, clean move indeed. Further down the field, we've got Nordy and Daft close together. These drivers both presumably having incidents. I think it's basically anyone below Dave K has definitely had an incident at this point of the race, and anyone above Dave K might have had an incident at this point of the race.
Back in 10th place, coming round to Worth, we've got Van on base and T-Keg still locked together. T-Keg on those soft tyres, so it does look like Van on base is trying to square up a move. Hopefully it can be done cleanly. Last thing you want as a Ferrari driver is to take each other out here, but Van on base going to open up the DRS. Will they look on the inside? Has a sniff, but nothing done. King Bart just sent in a 1:19.5, quickest lap.
Yeah, the medium tyres are really starting to come to the fore. Really, really good work from F1 2020 there, as it offered me the forward-facing onboard of the guy in 9th place, and then the rearward-facing onboard of the guy in 10th place. Nice.
TK going in for a change of tyres. Gives Van on base that nice open air, trying to make a run on Arif down in 8th. Arif, I believe, has a lot of fans, being the keyboard racer that he is.
Indeed. So into the pits comes TK, and the first driver to go to the hard tyres. Nose change as well for the Ferrari. We saw that end plate damage, so choosing to get that done now. And you can see Mercedes in the background. Hummersep is in as well. We're checking the track map. I thought we'd lost Tory there, but we had a Red Bull and a Renault slightly ahead of a Renault and a Red Bull, who are in second and third place. But you can see King Bart really now starting to close in the gap on Tory. Yeah. The softs are done. We need to come and change those. And is it going to be the right call to qualify and start the race on those mediums? Tory staying out, going around once more, but King Bart is in DRS range. Probably not close enough on this lap.
King Bart has been picking up that gap, like 2.5 seconds back to Obsidian, so King Bart really making up some gains here. Almost questioning if Tory should have came in last lap, just with the distance that King Bart is stretching. Being in the middle of these two soft tyre racers in first and third seems to be the real winner here at the moment.
Of course, the earlier you stop, the longer you have to go on those hard tyres and the more pain you'll take at the end of the race. And if you're on the mediums, King Bart probably looking to stop around lap 14 to 16 of this race. Mistake from Tory there. Coming out of the left-hander has allowed King Bart to close up with it to within 3 or 4 tenths now. The Racing Point really, really struggling on those soft tyres. And King Bart is really in the driving seat. We don't really need to make a pass if we're in that Renault right now. You can see how much the Racing Point is struggling to get the power down. Coming out of the slow corners, or indeed the fast corners. Maybe just all of the corners. You're going to have to go into the pits.
I definitely think if you're King Bart here, you just hold, nothing silly going into the last few corners here, and you just enjoy that free gap that they've now got, yeah.
Tory does pit from the lead. Get it slowed down. Slows down quite early. Gives up a little bit of time, but just about locks up and gets it slowed down. The McLaren crew are out as well. Presumably as for Roy Weller, going to be coming into the pits on this lap. And no surprises to see Tory go to the hard tyres and run those to the end of the race.
Obsidian coming in as well, getting on those hard tyres. So we'll see how, I think the real challenge now for Obsidian is see how quickly they can latch on the back of Tory. And then it's all going to be down to when King Bart comes in.
So 1, 2, 3 now are King Bart, Hercules and Cookie moving up into third place, and then AlphaTauri. So need to make the most of the fresh rubber. Try and make sure that when King Bart comes into the pits, we've gained a little bit of time, because that Renault is going to move back towards us when that gets the fresher tyres on. So with the undercut and the quicker tyres at this stage, you would imagine that Tory will regain the track lead when King Bart does come into the pits. But as we stand, it's advantage Renault.
At the moment, down in 6th, 7th, 8th, we've got Arif, Van on base and Mahoney, who's actually Mahoney, after the terrible qualification and start, is up 8 points. Arif, the keyboard master, up 11, and Van Base up 7. So 3 cars here that are definitely enjoying this track, all going to be fighting out for the points. We're going to see if Van Base does get this overtake on Arif, which I think he might have just had shut away from them.
Yeah, Arif defending the inside. Van Base going to go all the way around the outside and have the inside. I don't know if Arif's seen that one. Van Base having to get out of it. And Mahoney in the Mercedes just hanging around waiting to pounce if there's any contact here.
Mahoney, he's a German. He knows when people are at their weakest and when best to pounce.
He's an American now.
Oh, yeah, that as well. Too busy thinking of Hummersep in that regards, his teammate. But no, Mahoney, watching both going on, I think Van Base is going to have the clean overtake here. Whether Arif will be able to take that position back going through the bends here.
Nope, that's a clean move from Van Base. Up at the P6 as we stand, but of course neither of these drivers have stopped on 10-lap old mediums now. Daft still on the soft tyres in that Haas. I don't know what incident Daft has, but have presumably been in the pits to still be on 7-lap old soft. That suggests that we've changed our tyres quite early on. And we've got a spinner. It's Evil Steel in the Red Bull. I saw a Red Bull round and I was concerned that that might be Obsidian, but it was not. King Bart leads as we go on to lap 12, sorry, I should say. And a fastest lap of the race from King Bart. Really putting the hammer down now to try and increase any advantage he can possibly get. Just looking fairly controlled. Not dominant just yet, but really forcing a lot of pace out of Tory. And the first time penalty for Cookie.
Cookie as well, just having a look at Cookie on board. You know, lots of space in front and behind, really just looking to get the laps under their belt. It's an unfortunate time penalty to give away, almost a needless one, just not under a lot of pressure or anything. So hopefully Cookie can find a way to keep the time penalties down a bit and get in those points when it comes to having to come out the pit lane off those mediums.
Easy pass for Mahoney, DRS open and making all of the use of his ERS energy as well. Up into P7, passing the Haas of Arif. So how hard can Tory afford to push? We're not setting fastest laps at the moment, but we are closing the gap to Cookie as you would expect on 1-lap old hards as opposed to 11-lap old medium tyres that will be starting to lose quite a bit of grip now.
I definitely think, having seen Tory in Brazil and qualifying and their laps so far here, they've got pace. And they've definitely, I'd say they've got, perhaps not the one-off pace of King Bart, but they've got very fast, consistent pace, which seems to be the trend between both Racing Point drivers. So I think if you're Tory, you just keep doing what you're doing. You know, you're slowly catching up on Cookie, despite being on the hard tyres. And then you can really just, you know, look to see what happens with King Bart, because, you know, there's nothing like, you don't want to see complacency from King Bart in first place. Still got to keep those times up themselves, and I'll be interested to see what lap they do look to come in on.
It's 23 seconds between King Bart and Tory at this stage of the race. The only problem with that being that I don't know how long it takes to make a pit stop.
Anybody in chat wants to figure that out for us will be most welcome.
Ice Kid Man has pitted in the Williams onto the hard tyre a few laps ago. So only Daft now still running the soft tyres, and whether that's a daft idea or not, I'm not sure. Because 9-lap old soft will be not very quick.
Well, all three of the top three have yet to pit at the moment, and it's just Tory and Obsidian inside the top 10 really that have pitted, with Roy Weller in 10th, having made that one stop.
Roy Weller now coming up behind Dave Kay, who still hasn't pitted on those medium tyres.
Oh, and we've got Hummersep, I believe, incident on Elf as well.
Yeah, so Hummersep's lost the car. We're just catching the end of that, but presumably has made a mistake. Been a difficult race for Mercedes, hasn't it?
Has not. Well, Mahoney's certainly fighting his way back. In chat, about 25 to 30 seconds for a pit, plus however long the pit in itself takes. So obviously if there's the wing damage or anything like that. So King Bart may be looking to extend that window a bit further before coming into pit.
So we saw Roy Weller there trying to go down the inside of Dave Kay. Dave Kay running wide off the circuit, but keeping position And now Ice Kidman is well involved in this fight, and this could end up as many as 3 wide down the main straight. Roy Weller, this will be an easy enough pass with DRS and the ERS boost, but here comes Ice Kidman as well in the Williams, getting the slipstream from Dave K. It's going to be a big old fight into turn 1, and Roy Weller and Ice Kidman through into P8 and P9. Arif pits. So there's a slight moment there. We've got a yellow flag and sector 3. It's a Renault facing the wrong way. I think it's Karner. It is Karner. And Karner is missing a front win. And Karner has now retired from the race. So another difficult day for Karner in that Renault. Has, I think, broken the league rules there by not retiring from the race in the pit lane. So hopefully
we do have a safety car.
We do have a safety car. So that could work out very, very well for King Bart if they're able to pit now. But they've just gone past the pit entrance.
They have indeed. King Bart a long way. Hercules is in the pit, as is Cookie. Huge gains potentially by Hercules here. Will they come out in front of Tory, their teammate? No. But how high up will they come out on those fresh tyres? 4th place. Got to say, if you're Hercules, you're enjoying that. Probably going to be a big gain here.
Yeah.
King Bart probably going to be a big loss due to that just unfortunate timing.
Well, the thing is that the Hercules has come out behind Tory and Obsidian, so hadn't done enough to clear both of those 2 cars. Has picked up the safety car, so we'll have to pass that and then go all the way around. I would suggest we'll have quite a long safety car period here. So that might be enough for King Bart to get into the pits here and get out in the lead of this race.
Will be interesting. Time showing 28 seconds in front of Tory. Obviously, they are being restricted by that slight safety car time, so if they get in, they might just.
Well, 28 seconds. 28 seconds would be enough at full racing speed, so
right,
it's
they're
going to be
coming
more
in.
than enough. Gravity penalty for Nordy, speeding under the safety car. Horrible noise from King Bart's engine there as we're on the pit limiter. King Bart into the pits now. Tory just coming through, not even in the final chicane. It's going to be an easy lead for King Bart. Good point, Hindus. I might need to up the price for highlighting messages. I'm a little busy at the moment. So I think Karner's car has now stopped out on the circuit. I think that was a breach of the rules of the league to not drive the car into the pit lane and then retire it. Coming out of the pit lane now is Evil Steel. So that's not a race for position with Tory. But we're going to box the field back up. The advantage that King Bart's got is that he is on older tyres. On newer tyres, sorry, over Tory. But Tory will be right behind. But in theory, no pit stops left to work with for everybody. So it'll be a bit of a lull in the action now. Anyone impressed you so far?
Oh, Jock James disqualified for ignoring a yellow flag. Now, we were watching King Bart, so I don't know if anybody in chat caught what was T-Keg drive-through penalty. Jock James there looked like he was just overtaking the safety car to retake their position back in. So very interesting there.
Sorry guys, I was going to change the price of messages, but I'm not going to change the price of messages because it makes a mess of me looking at the thing. But now's the time to do it, I suppose. Safety car is out. The lead cars have caught that up. And we'll have a little bit of a wait now, I imagine, for everybody else to catch up. We've got 1, 2, and 3 all together. And then it is the lapped Evil Steel who is sat behind them in P4. So Jock James was showing us disqualified from the session, but he's still running round the circuit.
Yeah, did also get 5-second penalty for contact with Canurdi. So, not sure if this is just one of these glitches that we've been seeing over the first few weeks of people getting safety car penalties that they shouldn't do. You know, if you're King Bart, you're perhaps losing the advantage of these fresher tyres, not being able to put the foot down.
Interesting point to note is that T-Cake has pitted for the medium tyre that last time around.
TK. Now, did TK get a 5? I believe TK did get a penalty.
It's a drive-through.
I'm not sure. Yes.
So, unfortunately, we might have gone for a strategic call to go to the mediums and have a bit more pace, but we're not going to have that much pace in the pit lane.
TK's day just going from bad to worse. Qualifying second place, getting contact on them, which I believe was through no fault of their own, spinning them back into the back, fighting all the way up again just to get a few more penalties.
So, the championship leader, King Bart, in the lead again. The current fastest lap of the race is held by King Bart as well. It's a good 5/10 clear of everybody else.
I must say, these boys, third, Evil Steel, Obsidian, Tory, all very close as they're doing their weaving manoeuvres. So on almost contact, going round, was La Caxa, or however you would say that in Espanol. Drivers taking a lot of risks here.
Yeah, we just need to leave a bit more space. It's not worth the risk of picking up that 5-second penalty. If you make a slight mistake, the safety car will go around again. And of course, this is just helping on the tyre life. The problem for those with drive-through penalties, of course, is that you cannot serve a drive-through penalty under safety car conditions.
Evil Steel again, very close to Tory. I must say, maybe if you're some of the admins here that are sitting going, we've told you before, drivers, there's no need to be this close.
So, of course, Ice Kid Man and Cookie both have 3-second time penalties, which is more of an issue for them when the field is bunched up like this, because we now need to stretch a gap to the car behind.
Indeed. I will just say a quick shout out to those in chat. You keep the messages positive, otherwise I will be timing people out if you get out of line. So this is your one and only warning. Otherwise you'll be joining some drivers on McNugget's naughty step, okay?
Look at Obsidian there, just so close to the back of Tory. It very nearly ran at the back of that racing point there.
Indeed. That's Evil Steel, I believe. If you go back, it's actually Evil Steel is the back marker between Obsidian and Tory.
Oh, it is. Okay, there we go. I think I'm sure when I was looking at these two before, Obsidian was the lead Red Bull, but
Evil Steel, safety car coming in this lap. Evil Steel is doing what I believe Jock James didn't. I think Jock James actually went round King Bart, believing that he probably had to get back into position, which may have led to that penalty. Now, I'm not all up to date on the actual rules of how that works if you're a back marker behind the safety car when you're not at the back of the race.
5-second penalty for Rihanna behind the safety car. You've got to be careful here. King Bart is in control of this now. It'll be King Bart's decision when we go racing again.
If you're Obsidian, you've got to be saying Evil Steel needs to move out your way. I know it's teams, but you don't want to be stuck behind your mate in the 18th.
5-second penalty for Dave K, and we are racing again. King Bart has floored it out of the final corner and has kind of left Tory for dead a little bit there. Across the line, and King Bart leads away on lap 19 out of 33. Evil Steel doing the right thing and getting out of the way of his teammate. We've got Cookie coming through on Hercules here. Not quite close enough going into turn 1. And in the background there, we've got one of the McLarens, Roy Weller, on the inside of Daft. Arif running wide, of course using the keyboard to control his car. This race, which is he's a braver man than I.
He is definitely a press F sort of driver, sort of respects.
King Bart, a very measured restart, and can now basically just hot lap to the line. Got a yellow flag in sector 2. Oh, it's one of the Hasses off the road. It is Daft, I believe, facing the wrong way. Just recovering now, and Ice Kid Man coming up on the back of Cookie. Of course, both of these drivers with time penalties, which means that this is 4th position regardless of the time penalties. I guess the strange thing from Ice Kid Man's point of view is that he seems to pick up this 3-second time penalty early in the race, and then is clean as anything.
Yep, indeed. Whether it's just a lack of concentration or a bit of nerves perhaps at the start of the race before they get into their zone, I'm not sure what it is, but it's something that's costing them here again. Both Cookie and Ice Kid Man on 3-second penalties.
We don't have DRS, of course. It's a couple of laps after the safety car, but what we do have is a run with Urs on Cookie here. Ice Kid Man going to the inside and looking to take P5. Cookie's going to try and hang it out around the outside, but there's no room there. And a good move from the Williams up into 5th position.
Indeed. Obsidian is making some time up on Tory in that 2nd place. King Bart keeping a good gap, keeping out of DRS range as well.
We're taking time penalty for Evil Steel. And that could be a harsh one because that might be cutting corners, trying to keep out of people's way. But it's Obsidian just trying to keep pace with those ahead within DRS range of Tory. And there will be DRS this time around. As we go down the main straight. Lots of action further back in the field. We've got Hummersep getting involved, and that's it's a back marker. Round goes the McLaren. Was that a collision there? 5-second penalty.
Yep, Yana, 5-second penalty for collision with Roy Weller.
King Bart with the fastest lap of the race at 1:18.6.
On hard tyres nonetheless.
Oh no, Cookie's the wrong way round. Cookie's spun in the chicane and has lost all sorts of time, down to P14. Oh no.
We've got Ice Kid Man squaring up Hercules in 5th place, going into 4th. There is time penalties here, but Ice Kid Man showing he's got so much pace.
We're doing there from Arif. So it's Obsidian now who's really right over the back of Tory, looking to move up into 2nd position here, but none of them have an answer for the pace of King Bart at the front. Tory through the final chicane and out onto the main straight. There's still a big old gaggle of cars in the midfield that I think's involving Hummersep, right up behind Dave K in that Alfa Romeo. Dave K having a much stronger showing today. Had a very difficult race last time out in Brazil, but running in the points at the moment. Very much the bottleneck for a few cars behind Hummersep. The Mercedes have actually recovered quite well, and Ice Kid Man moving through into P4, just missed that one. Passing Hercules, but still needs to build up a 3-second gap because of that time penalty. But Ice Kid Man, possibly the only driver showing similar pace to King Bart at this stage of the race, but King Bart has kind of checked out at the front. Hummersep has gone through into P8 as well. But Jock James having a look too. Jock James apparently not disqualified from this race. Rumours of Jock James' demise were perhaps greatly exaggerated, but through into P9.
Glad to hear it, glad to hear it. Got King Bart is just almost a machine of a driver, just constant, just if anything extremely fast but extremely clean through these corners as well. Same as in Brazil race 1.
It's proven difficult for anybody else to keep pace with him in the front. He's having a very, very good run once again, and will only stretch that championship lead. Got a yellow flag and sector 3. I think Hercules has been round. A mistake from Hercules there. Giving up 5th position to Van on Base, who was very quietly going about having a good run in that Ferrari.
Definitely. Van on Base capitalising with his teammate is unfortunately not being able to do so. Very good to see that Van on Base, who also was struggling last week in Brazil, showing some good pace here today.
The big fight seems to be once again behind Dave K. There's a bunch of cars. I think Roy Weller now lining up a pass. We'll go on board with the McLaren. This is nose to tail with Arif going to the outside into turn 1. And Roy Weller looking to go around the outside. Just about enough racing room there. But Arif holds on. And then now, of course, don't forget the AlphaTauri, just behind of Cookie, trying to recover from that incident
but
before.
Arif taking Dave K. Arif has taken Dave K on the inside of Repsol.
Indeed, so Arif, you thought he was going to lose a place and actually makes up one into the points. This is the fight over the final points position. Arif and the Haas, who finished 10th last time out, moving up into P10 again. But still, Obsidian in that Red Bull continues to stalk up Tory. A little bit like a hawk here.
Some great racing though from Arif there, and not only defend his own position but also gain one on top.
I mean, how you do that on a keyboard, I've got no idea. Dave Kay's made a mistake and has lost a couple of spots here to Roy Weller. 3-second time penalty for Nordy. Cookie is...
Pure Nordy.
Yeah, Cookie's knocking round as well. And Roy Weller moving up into P11, and Dave Kay beginning to struggle now at this stage of the race. In the battle for P2, it looks like Tory's continuing to hold on to that, presumably just holding all of that ERS for the start-finish rate. But beyond this battle here, and that fight for P2, it's very much spread out. We've got 2-second gap, 2-second gap, 2.4 second gap, 3-second gap.
Well, the interesting fact going to be here is Tory's down to just 20% ERS left in the tank. We're way to come round Worth and going into Campsa, and Obsidian is sitting on 71% ERS. So I think if it's going to happen, it's going to happen coming round Campsa here.
It's T for telemetry, McNugget. It's T for telemetry.
It's T for telemetry indeed. And do we have enough track here for Obsidian? Sadly not. Smooth through, just hold it round. We're probably going to look to go round again on the after New Holland, otherwise known as Catalonia.
Difficult, a real shame for Evil Steel, who qualified very well today, but just wasn't able to convert that in race conditions. Tory getting a bit snaky coming out the final corner, and this could be the chance now if we can get a good exit. We're right on board with Obsidian. We are quite far back, but presumably deploying all of that ERS energy. No, off the overtake button this time around. I'm just going to hang on for another lap. The gap has come down to King Bart at the front to about 1.7 seconds now, but Tory a little bit out of shape in the first chicane, and that allowing Obsidian to get close again. But that dirty air effect really causing problems. We've got Roy Weller's round, facing the wrong way in the final corner. Another difficult day for McLaren.
Roy Weller, honestly, I don't know if maybe I should stop cheering Roy Weller on. I feel whenever I do, I just curse the poor driver. I was hoping big things in this race as well.
T-Keg, having served that drive-through penalty, recovering and hoping to try and get within range. Well, he's certainly within range of Cookie with that time penalty, but if we can get caught up to a reef, there's a chance of T-Keg. Oh! A time penalty for Obsidian.
Very big. I believe it was coming around camp so that he picked that up. That is going to give Tory a lot of breathing space, whether they keep an eye on it. And Roy Weller, 3-second penalty as well.
Yeah, so we've got to go aggressive now as Obsidian. We need to get this pass done because we've got to spend these last 6 or 7 laps trying to build up a big time gap, and taking far too much curb there at the chicane will cost us time, and we'll have to wait another lap, and the frustration will start to grow inside that Red Bull that we just can't get near the racing point.
Oh, indeed not. And then we've got the 4 Amenstein racers here. Mahoney, Hummerset, Jock James and Arif coming 7, 8, 9, 10. Big gains for Mahoney and Hummerset at Amenstein, just also with their terrible start.
3-second penalty for Daft, and T-Cake getting within DRS range of Cookie, but won't be close enough on this lap. It's a real shame for Cookie as well, who was going so strongly. And that spin means that we're fighting over minor points at best now, with a time penalty stuck against our name as well. Another key time delta to watch, by the way, is Van on base behind Ice Kidman. If that comes beneath 3 seconds, then Van on base will make up a place into P4. We've got a yellow flag in the second sector. I can't see what for. Not looking like there's any cars off the circuit at this point.
I do have some issues here with an AlphaTauri that I think is having to retire.
Oh, it's
Jock James, is it?
Well, Jock James is now retired and showing as disqualified. So I don't know what happened there. Whether there'll be a bit of a rant or a rave, I'm not sure. But King Bart continues to lead this one. It all looks very serene from here, doesn't it? But Tory closing that gap down to 1.6 seconds now, and Obsidian now out of DRS range as well. That time penalty possibly killing some of Obsidian's morale in this fight.
Oh, we've got Hummerset back here in 8th place, having a sniff up Mahoney's backside.
Here we go on board.
Inside line.
And don't want to fight too much. Mercedes on for a double points finish here, and Hummerset moving through into P7.
It's a great victory for the mighty German nation against those ragged Americans. Some vengeance there for Hummerset.
T-Keg is through on Cookie as well. We just missed that fight. But up into the points for the recovering Ferrari, so another double points finish for Ferrari as well. Hercules having a very quiet race in P6, but on course for a first points finish of the season after running in P3 in Brazil and then losing the car just towards the end of the race and giving up a potential podium at the end.
Alpha D King Bart is running on 65% ERS at the moment. Tory sitting on 27%, and Obsidian on 75%.
Yeah, so King Bart might be losing a bit of time, but does have that ERS advantage and everything in the back pocket just in case. It's now just managing that gap to Tory. Obsidian really dropping back now and perhaps just deciding that P3 might be the best we can do today.
Indeed, because there is also Ice Kid Man in 4th, but does have their own time penalties as well. So it's not until you go all the way back to Van on base is there going to be the real concern for Obsidian's P3 steal.
Involved with TK again. This is looking like a slam dunk against Arif. TK on those medium tyres, of course, having served that drive-through penalty, moving up to P9, and that was as easy as they come, like a motorway past that one. And Bar continues to leave about 49-48% ERS at the moment in comparison to Tory in second place, who's on 17%. So Tory very much struggling for ERS at this stage of the race. The third place Red Bull with about 57% in the back pocket as well. Yellow flag in sector 1. Possible issue for one of the Alfa Romeos there. And look at the gap that Hummersep has pulled on Mahoney. Mahoney really struggling for pace now at this stage of the race.
Yes, indeed. Although Mahoney does have twice as much airs left as Hummersep, but whether it was something that was known and they've chosen to split to try and catch up Hercules, it'll be interesting to see. Hercules, I am surprised, hasn't caught up a bit more. I mean, there's still 4 laps to go, but with their early pace, I would have been hoping for them to finish a bit higher.
A fight between Obsidian and Tory still going on, but of course we do have the sort of fly in the ointment, if you like, that is the time penalty for the Red Bull. That means that even if we do get the pass done on track, we still need to find 3 seconds of time on the circuit. And the problem with finding 3 seconds of time on the circuit is that you'd have to go and catch up King Bart to make that.
And a lot of life still on these tyres. Tory sitting with 18 with along with Obsidian. 19 laps is the most. 20 laps by Hummersep on these hard tyres, and Hummersep showing some good pace. So whether this is something Tory can take advantage of, I don't know if these hard tyres coming at a bit more pace around the 19, 20, 21 lap of usage, when they get worn in nicely. So it could be that Tory might steal some time back.
A really good race from this man, Van on base. Very, very quietly. We've barely talked about him, but just running very strongly in 5th position now. Has kept out of trouble, has just lapped to their own pace, and as cars have gone off around them, we have managed to make up quite a lot of positions.
9 positions gained from qualifying as well from Van on base. The biggest gain of the race so far.
3-second time penalty again for Roy Weller, and it's all gone wrong at McLaren, hasn't it? Arif still hanging on to the points, but Cookie is in DRS range and having a go. Potentially as we come onto the straight. What you see here is the perhaps less experienced guys are starting to make more and more mistakes and getting more and more time penalties as we get further into this race. On board with Cookie as we chase down Arif. This is in theory for the final point, but of course we would have to make up 3 seconds because of the time penalty. Cookie going to the inside. Arif's going to hang this one out. It is so impressive that you're able to be that accurate in close contact using a keyboard. Really, really clean racing from the pair of them, and Arif hanging on to that position. Jock James just joining us here. If we could get a bit of a heads up. Oh, it was a disconnect. Ugh.
We weren't sure, Jock, because we did see your car go past the safety car, and it said that you were disqualified, and then it looked like you were back racing for a good few laps. You were actually gaining, so whether the AI was gaining you places, but that's very unlucky to hear me, unfortunately. Another guy I tipped.
Obsidian is losing so much time coming out of that final chicane, and it's really stopping the Red Bull being able to get within good distance of the racing point ahead. We're taking too much curb on the left-hand part of the chicane. It's throwing the car all over the place, and it's costing us a good run out of that corner.
Van on base up to 5th. Did we miss a take on Hercules?
No, been running in 5th for a while.
That's right.
Hercules, I think, did make a mistake earlier on.
Cookie has made a pass.
Yep, Cookie is through into P10, and Hummersep's had an issue. Hummersep's got wing damage.
Oh.
That's big wing damage for Hummersep. That is a disaster with a couple of laps to go. There won't be time to make this up, so Hummersep's lost a big chunk of the front wing, and TK goes through. Can Hummersep hang on? He's 4.5 seconds ahead of Cookie, but there's a lot of time left to go. There's still 2.5 laps left to go in this race.
Cookie also does have that 3-second penalty, but Hummersep is losing a lot of time. And Mahoney picks up a 3-second penalty at the worst time. TK is going to take a massive advantage there and almost go into de facto 7th place.
Yeah, I mean, you can see Hummersep's already lost 2.5 seconds on half of this lap to Cookie.
Yeah.
Mercedes, we'll see whether they go into the pit lane. But TK now a net P7th. It's all coming up Ferrari on this lap.
It is indeed. Chad just asking if we could get a quick peek at the penalties.
Can indeed. So 3 seconds for Obsidian, 3 seconds for Ice Kidman. So what's that gap to Van on base? If that goes below 3 seconds, Hummersep stays out. Realising that if we pit, we've got no chance of points. But realistically, if we stay out, we've got very little chance of points anyway. Cookie goes through. Van on base now 3.1 seconds behind Ice Kidman, and if we can find another few tenths, we're looking at P4. Don't talk to me about being around 3.1 seconds behind the guy ahead.
Van on base, I mean, if it ends this way, I would have to say my driver of the day, just for this clean driving, the positions gained, and I mean, we knew King Bart and Tory had pace, but I think Van on base for everything that's went on in this race, all the penalties, the safety car, the collisions, has definitely drove an extremely impressive race.
King Bart is low on ERS, but Tory's even worse. We're on the last dregs of that, but Obsidian still cannot get within range of that racing point.
But Tory is catching King Bart. Tory is catching. You know, we're talking about the tyre lap, 22 laps on those hards, and Tory's seeming to get everything out of it that they can.
Yeah, this is the last lap of the race, so as long as there's nothing daft here from King Bart, it is going to be a second victory out of 2. Has gained another 3 tenths on this lap alone, so King Bart almost serenely moving through to his second victory of the season here.
Yeah. Fuel flashing for all. I doubt it's going to be an issue, especially with that safety car.
Evil Steel is around. That's what the yellow flag's for in the final part of the circuit. But nobody's close enough to this man. King Bart coming out of Sector 2. Obsidian is only half a second behind, but is not going to get close enough to that racing point. That would have been such a... Oh no! It's round! Obsidian spins!
That's huge!
I think we'll get away with it. I think we'll get away with it because we had such a gap to Ice Kid Man. But King Bart comes out of the final corner to win in Spain. The King Bart is the king of Spain. Another victory for Renault. Tory across the line in second place, and Obsidian does take...
Ice King Man has went off the track. I don't know how much that's going to affect him. Van on base, if they get through that, I don't know if there's enough time.
It will, no, it'll give Van on base P4. Van on base with the time penalty comes across in fourth. An excellent result for Van on base.
Van base, excellent.
Hercules will finish in sixth in this one. T-Keg will come home in seventh, and then it's the penalties of Mahoney, Cookie, and Nordy now showing us in the points. I'll just check the time penalties on these. But Nordy coming out the final corner. 3 seconds might not be enough against the Reef.
No, I think Arif's just going to steal a point here at the end.
Arif does it again. The 10th position master comes across the line in P10. And 2 points for Cookie. So congratulations to him coming across the line in P9 and picking up his first point of the season as well. Hummersep lost so much time with that wing damage.
It was a catch-22, I feel, for Hummersep there. Do they pit and just guarantee to lose the time, or try and nurse it round? But massive congratulations to King Bart. Tory must feel a bit robbed. Probably lost out just because of that safety car in the end. Obsidian, huge gains. Great pace here coming up in division as well. But I mean, I have to say personally, don't know what the game says, but Van on base is definitely my driver of the day.
I think I'm inclined to agree. You'd certainly look at King Bart, who perhaps got a little fortunate with the timing of the safety car, but ultimately I think there's an argument that we might have had the pace to overtake Tory anyway. But to be fair, excellent defensive drive from Tory to finish P2 and hold off that charging Red Bull.
Indeed, definitely. T-Keg as well, having started second, getting clipped on the early first corner and going way down into the positions, having a nightmare drive-through penalty as well, I believe they picked up, to still come and finish in the points as well. It's a very strong drive as well from T-Keg. So big shout out there to both Ferrari drivers.
Oh, look at that. F1 2020 agrees with us, and Van on Base getting the driver of the day. And I think we'll both give our driver of the day to Van on Base today. But it is congratulations to King Bart, a winner again in FRS Division 5. It is 2 out of 2. And the next round in Monza, the question will be asked, can anyone stop the King?
Let these drivers celebrate. Good win again for King Bart. Tory again getting up into the points. I believe that's second podium in a row for Tory after the race in Brazil.
It is indeed, yeah. So it's the maximum 26 points again for King Bart, which gives us the championship lead, 52 points. It will be Tory in second place in the championship. Ice Kid Man finishing fifth, so picking up another good haul of points, but a slightly more difficult day today than we saw in Brazil. Obsidian gets a podium on Division 5 debut, so big congratulations to him. Van on Base with a very strong drive to fourth. And Hercules probably had the quietest race of all, but picks up 8 points for finishing sixth today. T-Cake with the recovery drive had all sorts of incidents. Contact at the first corner that sent him round, a drive-through penalty, speeding under the safety car, but coming home to pick up 6 points in seventh place. Mahoney's eighth. Cookie finishes ninth today, and the master of 10th place, Arif, gets another solitary point for Haas.
Well, it's definitely been another spectacular race here in Spain for us all to watch. I don't know if it's just going to be our curse for safety cars and turn one action, but I mean, if the fans keep enjoying watching it, we are going to keep hopefully cursing them into it.
We wrap it up, and of course, this is the final race of the FRS weekend. So we're all done for another one.
Next week, we of course have Italy on February the 13th, starting off then. Well, actually, I believe it starts off on the 12th with Division 1 on a Friday night, I believe.
It does indeed, 9 p.m. on a Friday night for Division 1. And then we work through with Saturday evening races and Sunday evening races. So, what did we make of Spain? A lot of people don't like Spain. I think on the vote for which track should we do, Spain finished 17th out of the 22 options, and basically got into the season because we take so many tracks that everyone wants to run, and then there's like a random draw for a final few to make up the rest of the season. So Spain made it in, but not a massively popular circuit. That being said, the drivers who show good consistency this weekend getting the rewards.
Definitely. I think there was definitely some pain in Spain for a few drivers, but for the rest, King Bart, Tory, Van on Base, there was some good points here for them again, and also get some good constructors points up for grabs as well.
Yeah, Van on Base moving up 10 spaces from a grid position of 14th. I mean, you cannot argue with that sort of performance. Kept the nose clean, kept out of trouble, and just kept pounding away those lap times. And, you know, we were never really in the fight for the podium places. P4 is not to be sniffed at.
Indeed not.
So, it was a bit less, you know, my heart's beating a bit less quickly than it was after the Brazil race. But it was okay. I think it was, you know, it wasn't they can't all be super spectacular. It must have been so frustrating for Obsidian, just not able to get past Tory at any point in that race. Tory, excellent defense down at the start-finish straight, and it wasn't even particularly like Obsidian was even able to get alongside at any point.
No, indeed not. I think definitely few teams feeling the pain in Spain. I think the Mercedes of Hummersep and Mahoney, the Ammenstein Racing boys. Good, decent qualifications. Incidents turn one, caught back up only for Hummersep to get some massive wing damage to take the points away from them. Mahoney, finishing probably lower down than they would have hoped, given their pace as well. There's a lot of incidents going on, but then it's just that clean racing that we keep talking about. Keep it clean, keep some good pace, and Van on base delivering definitely the well-deserved race of the week, race of driver of the day.
We have a lot of work to do ahead of Nuggets naughty list in week 3.
I believe Jock James is going to be making a big appearance on that at this stage, at least. I look forward to Obsidian on there as well, getting on my naughty list.
There was a lot of penalties. Excuse me. In that
there
race. Was, but I think the ones that we can avoid is the safety car ones. The whole safety car period was weird, and I think the real shame of the safety car is that it denied us the chance to see whether King Bart had made the right call strategically. We felt like because of the fresher tyres, Tory was likely to come out in the lead and it have just been a straight run. But the safety car kind of gave King Bart track position, had the fresher tyres, and from that point it was very difficult to see how Tory could bring that back and challenge for the win. So that was the real shame when the safety car came out, and it did. I guess a hint of Singapore 2008, because it was one Renault crashing into the wall that brought out a safety car that gave the win to the other Renault. But it looked like Carter was having a pretty difficult day at the back of the field anyways. I'm in absolutely no way suggesting that was deliberate. It's just a coincidental thing, that it was one Renault going off the circuit and causing the safety car that benefited the other one.
Not at all. I'm definitely sure that would never happen. But no, tough race for some drivers. Yeah, Kana there. Evil Steel as well. I'm not sure how many of those penalties could have been avoided. How much of it was just perhaps trying to steal some corners to catch up on some time. A lot of drivers with a lot of pace here that you just think if they could avoid those penalties, they could be right up there with the top positions. So definitely, Italy up next, and get some practice in. Hopefully, see it come back and see a lot more names up near the top. I'm going to stop speaking about Roy Weller because I feel I just curse them every time I speak about them. So next week we're not going to speak about Roy Weller whatsoever. We'll see what happens there.
It is clearly entirely your fault, right?
So probably yes.
What can we possibly do about that? I think the guys who struggled, spun a few times. I think there's a lot to be said. Time trial only gives you so much, right? Time trial is not really a realistic. A lot of us can do a low 16, or if you're really good, you can do a mid 15 or even a 14 in time trial mode. But it's can you do 10 of those times in a row that's more important.
Exactly. And it's not just that. Can you do 10 of those times with a car right behind you the whole way? And I think that's where a lot of people, whether they get the nerves or they're not used to, everybody can take, certain corners, yep, it's a tough corner, but I can do it no problem. But can you do it when there's another car in front, behind, or beside you and get through it clean? So I definitely think taking advantage of the practice laps or the practice races is where you see the difference in a lot of these drivers.
Indeed. So, I think that's that. I think we wrap that up there. So, another good race. Not as I say, not as spectacular as the first one, but if they were all spectacular, in a weird way, none of them would be spectacular.
Exactly.
So, my thanks go to McNugget for the co-cast today. I hope you enjoyed that one.
Thank you very much. Very enjoyable again, and we're already looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in Italy.
Yeah, round 3 in a week's time is Monza. And if you don't know Monza, it is basically a lot of straight lines, very, very long straight lines, and a lot of very, very slow corners at the end of those straight lines. So expect plenty of overtaking and action into those braking zones in Italy. We are going to wrap that up there. Thank you very much for tuning in, everybody who's tuned in across the FRS weekend. And we will be back on the official FR Series channel in a week, well, not quite a week's time, but less than a week's time. It'll be Friday, around about 9 p.m. UTC for the Division 1 race from Monza. And myself and Nugget will be back at around 7:45 UTC next Sunday with round 3 from Division 5. So we will see you then.